A simple stock market index, silent and predictable at first glance, is quietly building fortunes. While most people chase quick promises, a silent minority understands the real game and is becoming millionaires without attracting attention. Why is no one talking about this? Why is the spotlight always on financial fads and not on what really works? Because the secret is too simple and too lucrative to be spread. If this idea has already made you think differently, like it now and subscribe. This video will open your eyes to something that few see, but that changes lives forever. The S&P 500 is not a stock, nor is it a company. It is a living reflection of the 500 largest and most powerful companies in the United States. But don't think it's a closed club or something far from your reality. In fact, you come across these companies every day. They're on your cell phone, in the food you buy, in the clothes you wear, on the card you swipe, on the website you shop with, on the streaming service you watch at night. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Visa, Walmart, Coca-Cola, Johnson & Johnson, McDonald's, Netflix. The list goes on. These brands are part of your life, and even without realizing it, you already invest in them as a consumer. The difference is that when you buy a product, they earn. But when you invest in the S&P 500, you start to earn with them. Now, here's something interesting. The S&P 500 is self-regulated by the market's own force. If a company starts to do badly and is no longer relevant, it leaves the index. And another stronger one takes its place. In other words, even if you never change anything, the S&P 500 updates itself, always keeping the best ones. It's like having an elite team where only the top performers play. And you know what's most interesting? It's accessible. Anyone can invest with just a few dollars. It doesn't matter if you work in an office, a restaurant, a school, or from home. You can own even a fraction of some of the most valuable companies on the planet. It's as if the index were a bridge. On one side, there are the giants. On the other, there are those who are still building their freedom. And by investing in it, you cross this bridge. Discreetly. Without having to predict which stock will boom. Without trying to guess the next Google. You get in the game with those who have already won several times. These companies continue to grow because they sell to the entire world. The question is, how long will you continue to just buy from them, instead of profiting from them too? The formula that changes lives doesn't get the spotlight. It doesn't make headlines. It doesn't have adrenaline. But it's been working for decades. It comes down to three pillars: consistent investments, plus time, plus the S&P 500. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be lucky. You just need patience and discipline. And that, let's face it, is rarer than talent. See what happens with a simple habit. Invest $500 a month in the S&P 500. No crazy bets, just an ETF like SPY or VOOO. If the index continues to perform as it has historically, at an average of 10% per year in 20 years, that turns into more than $300,000. But if this habit continues for 30 years, the number exceeds $900,000. And you know what's even crazier? About $600,000 of all that will be just compound interest growth. In other words, your money worked harder than you did. Now think about it. It's not just about getting rich. It's about becoming free. It's about waking up and knowing that your future is being built in silence, while the world chases after fads. Silent millionaires understand that the secret is not in finding the next big opportunity. It's in exploring what has always worked, but few have the patience to follow through. Most people want quick results, but the financial market is not a casino. It's a game of survival. Those who enter with euphoria leave with frustration. Those who enter with strategy reap freedom. And the most surprising thing? This formula doesn't require a large salary. It just requires consistency. There are people who started with $100 a month, increased it over time, and today reap the rewards. The trick is not to invest a lot at once, it's to invest constantly. What if the difference between those who still fight for every penny and those who already live without rushing is just this: doing the basics for enough time in the right place? It's no coincidence that most people leave school knowing what an isosceles triangle is, but have no idea what the S&P 500 is. The traditional education system was shaped in an industrial era. It was designed to produce good employees, punctual, obedient, efficient people, but not free. The logic is clear. Learn to work hard, accept the exchange of time for salary, and go with the flow until retirement. But what if you don't just want to survive until 65? What if you want to build real wealth? The answer is there. But it's hidden in silence. Schools don't teach about compound interest or financial independence. They don't talk about the power of investing regularly. They never show a graph of the exponential growth of the S&P 500. Why? Simple. It doesn't serve the game that's already underway. The system doesn't win if you become independent early. Banks, insurance companies, and financial platforms profit more from your ignorance than from your education. That's why they sell funds full of fees, promises of guaranteed returns, and complex products that only enrich those who sell them. Meanwhile, the S&P 500 is still there. No glamour, no fanfare, but delivering real results for decades. And here's a provocation. When was the last time you saw a commercial on TV saying, "Invest in a simple cheap ETF and forget about it for 30 years"? Never, right? Because this doesn't generate high commissions. It's too simple. And precisely for that reason, it works. Now that the truth is exposed, the question changes. It's no longer, "Why didn't anyone teach me this?" It's, "What am I going to do with this information, now that it's mine?" There is a glaring difference between those who end their lives with freedom and those who spend their entire lives fighting for it. And this difference is not talent, nor luck. It is time. Time, when ignored, is cruel. But when used intelligently, it becomes an invisible ally working silently while you sleep, work, live. Let's take a real example. Two people. One starts investing $500 a month at age 25. The other starts the same amount, but at 35. Both stop at 55. The first will have accumulated almost $1 million. The second, about $430,000, same amount per month, same rate, same strategy. What changes? Only time. The difference is over $500,000, just because someone started 10 years earlier. It's not an exaggeration. It's mathematics. It's the power of compound interest, which multiplies faster as time goes by. The sooner you plant, the deeper roots you create. And the longer you put it off, the harder it is to make up for lost ground. Because time that has passed can never come back, and no one can invest in the past. The worst mistake many people make is waiting for the right moment. Waiting to earn more, waiting to have money left over, but the right moment never appears on its own. It is created. After all, life doesn't wait. Bills arrive. Unforeseen events arise, and those who don't take advantage of time when it is their ally end up being slaves to it later. Yes, those who start late can make progress, but those who start early arrive light. They arrive free. Those who plant early reap more, and those who just watch, they will end up spending their entire lives watering the dreams of others, especially those who started earlier. There is a type of wealth that does not appear on Instagram. It is not in rented cars, fancy dinners, or photos with motivational phrases. It is in silence, in the account that grows discreetly, month after month, in the tranquility of those who know that the future is protected even when everything seems to fall apart outside. Silent millionaires do not act on impulse. They do not get excited when the market rises 5% in a week, and they also do not despair when it falls 10% in a month, because they understand something that many people do not. The real game is mental. You can have access to the best tools, the most solid investments, the most tested strategies. But if your mind is weak, your money will be fleeting. With every crisis, two types of investors emerge: those who sell in panic and those who buy calmly. The difference between the two? Psychology. Silent money is born from discipline, patience, and conviction. It grows on boring days, in months when nothing seems to happen. While most are busy chasing the hype of the moment, jumping from stock to stock, trying to predict the future, the silent ones continue to invest in the S&P 500 month after month without making a fuss. They are not trying to beat the market. They are beating themselves by ignoring the noise, resisting social pressure, and understanding that investing is not an event. It is a process. You don't have to be cold, calculating, or have the blood of a robot. You just need to train your brain to endure the discomfort of waiting, because the market doesn't reward those who get the timing right. It rewards those who stay. The market tests the impatient with drops and distractions, but it saves the biggest prizes for those who understand that consistency is worth more than emotion. Today, everyone wants the next boom, the next Bitcoin, the next stock that will multiply by 10 in a week. The promise is always the same: get rich fast, with little effort and a lot of hype. Cryptocurrencies, for example, can rise 500%, but they can also evaporate 90% in the blink of an eye. And many who got in at the top, fooled by the collective euphoria, are now holding losses or leaving the market traumatized. Day trading? It sounds exciting. Charts on the screen, quick decisions, promises of financial freedom in months. But the reality is cruel. 95% of people who try it lose money. And do you know why? Because it's not a question of technique, but of exhaustion. Too much emotion, too many decisions, and too few results. You become a slave to the screen and don't really build anything. Now compare that to the S&P 500. No crazy promises, no explosions, just consistency. Since 1957, with wars, crises, pandemics, and bubbles along the way, the average return has remained around 10% per year. Doesn't seem like much. So here's a fact that changes everything. If you had invested $10,000 in the S&P 500 in 1980 and left it there until today, you would have more than $1 million. Without having to predict anything. Without having to sell when it's high or buy when it's low. Just staying. While most people chase loud promises, the quiet ones choose what has history, foundation, and logic. Because the real difference is not in speed, it's in direction. If your goal is true freedom, the kind that doesn't depend on luck or adrenaline, maybe it's time to stop jumping from branch to branch. Maybe the problem was never the boring investment. Maybe the real problem is not being able to wait for something that really works. The millionaire isn't always in the penthouse. Sometimes he's at the library counter, or he's delivering your coffee at the drive-thru, or he's worked at the same school for 30 years as a high school teacher. The real S&P 500 millionaires don't wear designer clothes. They wear discipline. They're teachers who chose to drive a simpler car and save $200 a month. Nurses who, even exhausted after their shifts, sat down to review their budget and secure another investment in the ETF. Bus drivers who never stopped investing even when their salaries were tight. Secretaries who chose patience over haste. Ordinary people who understood something that most people don't. Getting rich isn't a matter of genius. It's a matter of habit. You may have crossed paths with some of them and not even realized it. They don't flaunt. They don't show off. They don't talk about money. And they don't need to. They have something much more valuable: peace. They wake up without fear of the end of the month. They have time to watch their children grow up. They travel when they want, not only when their boss authorizes it. They don't need luck, because they let time and compound interest work for them. And you know what's most curious? Many of them started from scratch, without inheritance, without hot tips, without Wall Street mentors. Just a plan, patience, and the S&P 500. That's why no one talks about them. They are invisible to the system, but absolutely free within it. Real millionaires don't always look like millionaires. They look at peace. And, deep down, that's what everyone is looking for. Here's the cold, hard truth. You don't need an expensive course. You don't need financial advisors with a table full of complex formulas and charts. You don't need super advanced software that promises to predict the future. The secret is simplicity. First, find a reliable brokerage. It doesn't have to be the most famous, but it should be one that offers fair fees and an easy-to-use platform. It can be anyone. What matters is that it has what you need to access the ETF that will put your money to work, and in the case of the S&P 500, the two most popular are VOO and SPY. These ETFs already do all the work for you. You don't have to worry about selecting individual stocks. You're already buying all at once the 500 largest and most solid companies in the United States. Now, here comes the simplest and, at the same time, most powerful part: consistency. Set a fixed amount, any amount that fits your budget. Set up an automatic investment every month without exception. It could be $100, $200, or $500. The amount doesn't matter. What matters is not to fail. You'll forget about that money. You'll move on with your life. You'll do your own thing. And you'll watch your balance grow silently, month after month, year after year. Before you know it, what started out as a small effort will have become a strong flow of wealth. The key is to keep it simple. Don't try to second-guess the market. Don't try to get the timing right. Just make your investment, automate it, and live your life. The market will do the rest for you, invisibly but relentlessly. You know what's most impressive? That while most people are trying to understand complex formulas or chasing quick promises, you're creating wealth without doing anything. Simplicity can be revolutionary, especially when everyone around you is complicating things. Sometimes the simplest mistakes are the most costly, and the worst part, they're the most common. Here are the biggest mistakes that can destroy your journey to financial freedom with the S&P 500 and, fortunately, how to avoid them. Trying to predict the market doesn't work. Every time someone tries to predict what the next big drop or rise will be, they're dooming themselves to failure. Predicting the market is an impossible game. It's volatile, unpredictable, and ultimately it doesn't even matter if you're right or wrong in your prediction. What matters is the compounding. Forget trying to guess. You don't need it. The real secret is to simply invest and let time do its work. Stop when the market is down, and you can buy at a lower price. When the market goes down, fear takes over. Will I lose everything? Should I get my money out now? These thoughts make people sell at the bottom, and that's when true wealth is built. You must understand that a drop is an opportunity. Yes, the temptation to sell is strong, but hold on tight. Buying in the red is like buying on sale, but only those who are brave get the discount. Waiting for money to be left over to invest never results in any money left over. You have to prioritize. This is the most fatal mistake of all. Many people wait until the end of the month to see if there is anything left over to invest. And guess what happens? There is never any. Investing is not about what is left over. It is about what you decide will go into your future. The key is to prioritize. If you can't invest now, start with a small amount, but start. Make it a priority, just like paying your bills. The sooner you start, the more time the market will have to work its magic. Jumping from strategy to strategy is what builds wealth. How many times have you found yourself changing strategies? Now it's the crypto trend, then comes the growth stock, then the super tip from some guru. This constant movement of changing strategies and jumping from trend to trend is the biggest mistake you can make. Why? Because no strategy works without consistency. Focus is what builds wealth. There is no point in having 100 ideas if you do not consistently invest in one of them. Choose the path that makes sense and follow it. It does not matter if someone around you is earning more with something else. If you are on the right path, go for it. The market, as we have seen, does not reward the smartest. It rewards the most consistent. This is what separates long-term millionaires from those who have momentary luck. Consistency is the real secret. It's not about buying a luxury car, nor about posting your perfect life on social media. The true freedom that the S&P 500 offers doesn't show up in photos, but it completely changes the way you live each day. It's the freedom to sleep soundly, knowing that your future is being built even while you rest. It's the freedom to say no to a job that makes you sick, because now you have a choice. It's the freedom to travel without paying installments, to help those you love without going into debt, and to live with a kind of peace that is priceless. You don't have to be a financial genius. You don't have to study complicated charts or follow the market every day. All you need is time, patience, and direction. While many are stuck in a cycle of rushing and anxiety, there are people living differently not because they won the lottery, but because they planted ahead. They started slowly, with little. They ignored the promises of easy money, and they let time do the hard work. This freedom has a price, and that price isn't money. It's discipline. It's not spending everything now. It's not following the herd. It's trusting in a process that doesn't scream results, but delivers consistency. You won't notice it coming. One day, you'll just realize that you don't worry so much anymore, that constant fear of not having enough has disappeared. This is the freedom that doesn't appear in headlines. It doesn't need that. It is felt in the silence of peace, in the power of choice, in the lightness of a guaranteed future. You don't need to chase money. Build a path where money chases you in silence while you truly live. Now that you know the secret that millions of people are silently using, the only thing left is action. You have the knowledge. Now the real question is, what are you going to do with it? The S&P 500 won't promise you magical results tomorrow. It won't make you a millionaire overnight. But with discipline and patience, it can be what frees you from an uncertain future. It can be the key to a life where you have the choices, not the obligations. Remember, there's no glamour in the process, but the reward comes to those who have the patience to wait. If you start now, even with small steps, you'll be creating the future you've always wanted, and you probably won't even realize it when it arrives. But one thing is certain. When you look back, you'll realize that first step was the most important of all. Now, what are you going to do with what you've learned? Will you keep waiting for a miracle? Or will you start building your financial freedom in a simple, solid, and silent way? If you liked this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Share it with anyone who also needs to know how to build a life of freedom. And remember, the journey is not about chasing money. It's about letting money work for you, while you live the life you've always dreamed of. The choice is yours. Now, get started.